In the turbulent period of the 17th century, during the Ming-Qing dynasty's transition, the emergence of Ming Loyalist pirates in Zhejiang region of China played a crucial role in the complex political landscape of Southeast Asia. Led by Jiang Jing, the leader of the Zheng organization in Taiwan, also called the Kingdom of Tongning, these pirates and Ming Loyalists embarked on a journey that would eventually reshape the destiny of the Mekong Delta and its surrounding regions. So please join on another exciting journey through the history of Southeast Asia. Before we begin, I thank you for your visit today and hope you enjoy the video. Jiang Jing, at the helm of the Ming Loyalist resistance against Manchu rule, recognized the value of the Lezhou pirates in bolstering his efforts. In 1666, he dispatched a mission from Lezhou to Cambodia, aiming to establish a strategic base in the Mekong Delta. The initial expedition was only partly successful, but these Chinese merchants and pirates were able to gain a critical ally in Southeast Asia. As the Ming Loyalists faced defeat and Taiwan fell to the Qing dynasty in 1682, figures like Yang Yangdi and Chen Shengchuan, commanders of the Lezhou squadron, made a daring escape to Dan Nguyen in central Vietnam coast, with a fleet of 50 junks and more than 3,000 men. These individuals were not merely pirates, many were individuals deeply committed to resisting Qing rule, but others were simply interested in finding a new home and a new economic opportunity in Southeast Asia. In the wake of their defeat by the Qing, the Ming Loyalists sought refuge in the Mekong Delta. For many, their loyalty to the Ming dynasty led them to reject the Qing's authority and aspire to become subjects of southern Vietnam as well as Cambodia. Among them were seasoned military leaders who continued to fight against the Qing. Others were experienced seafarers and pirates who found themselves more at home on the high seas than within the confines of the Chinese mainland. Rulers in Vietnam recognized the potential of the Ming Loyalists most especially, allowing them to settle in the Mekong Delta for several compelling reasons. For one, they sought to relocate a large foreign population away from the capital and in doing so secure Cambodian territories for Vietnam. Additionally, they aimed to harness the skills and labor of the Ming Loyalists and develop the fertile lands of the Mekong Delta for the benefit of Vietnam. This collaboration marked the beginning of a significant transformation in the region's demographics and politics. During the 17th and 18th century, the Mekong Delta was nominally part of Cambodia, but the region was characterized by its sparse population and ethnic diversity. Vietnamese people began migrating to the Delta region around the 17th century, gradually settling and established communities along the riverbanks. Khmer kings had granted Vietnamese settlers license to settle the Mekong Delta. Over time, Vietnamese settlers integrated with the local Khmer and Cham communities, but eventually Vietnamese culture and language became dominant in the area near the end of the 18th century. However, during this period, Vietnam was fractured. The country itself had become divided into the northern region of Dang Nguyen, or Annam, controlled by the Trinh family, and the southern region of Dang Drong, also known as Cochin China, under the governance of the Nguyen family. By the mid-18th century, Dang Drong had partly established Vietnamese sovereignty over the Mekong Delta, referred to as Nam Bo, or the southern region. Chinese immigrants played a significant role in this process, contributing to the expansion of the Nguyen domains through their commercial, political, and military contributions. The Mekong Delta, what had been an integral part of Cambodia for centuries, had begun to shift to Vietnamese control. One notable figure was Ma Zhou, originally from Lezhou and Guangdong, who fled the Manchu regime and established himself as an Ok Na, or Cambodian official, in the western extremities of the Mekong Delta. His efforts helped transform the region, turning dense jungle into thriving agrarian farms inhabited by a mix of Chinese, Khmer, and other ethnic groups. However, Ming Loyalists like Ma Zhou eventually chose to align themselves with the Nguyen family and were granted rights to develop additional territories in the Mekong Delta. Their settlements at Bin Hoa and Gia Dinh emerged as vital Chinese trading ports that played a pivotal role in expanding the Nguyen domains through military campaigns against Cambodia later on. In 1708, Ma Zhu, or as he would come to be known in Vietnamese as Mak Ku, visited the Nguyen court to request that Ha Tien become a vassal of Quang Nam. He was appointed as the regional commander of Ha Tien, gaining significant autonomy and contributing to the economic prosperity of the region. His son, Ma Tien II, continued his legacy, solidifying the Ming Loyalist position as guardians of Vietnamese interests in the western regions of the Delta. Ha Tien was nestled at the intersection of various political spheres, playing a pivotal role in the shaping of the history of Southeast Asia during the 18th century. Situated on the border of Cambodia and under the rule of the Nguyen dynasty and Dang Trong, Ha Tien served as a vibrant trading hub connecting the coastal regions of Fujian and Guangdong with the South China Sea. This city, with its unique blend of cultures and political complexities, witnessed both glory and downfall as it navigated the turbulent currents of its time. Ha Tien proudly upheld Ming-style governance and culture. Under the Nguyen rulers, Ma Tien II, the city's leader, enjoyed various privileges including exemptions from the ship taxes, the right to mint coins, and the ability to establish a civil and military bureaucracy. The city's diverse army comprised Cantonese, Vietnamese, Malay Bugis, and other ethnic groups, reflecting the cosmopolitan nature of Ha Tien during this time period. The city became a focal point of Ming-style Chinese culture in Southeast Asia, attracting scholars from Guangdong, Fujian, Zhejiang, and Vietnam. Buddhist monks and Taoist priests contributed to its cultural richness. In the eyes of Qing sources, Ha Tien preserved Ming material culture, political institutions, and Confucian temples, drawing praise from the Manchu dynasty despite it being founded by Ming Loyalists. Ha Tien also had a multifaceted foreign policy. While paying tribute to the Nguyen court, it maintained a significant degree of autonomy. The city also engaged in diplomatic relations with China and even sent official missions to promote international trade, including with Japan, where Ma Tien II reportedly presented himself as the king of Cambodia to the shogun. Ha Tien didn't limit its influence to cultural and diplomatic realms. It became embroidered in regional conflicts. After the Burmese sacked Ayutthaya in 1767, King Taksin of Siam sought to regain control in Southeast Asia. Ha Tien used this opportunity to expand its power by launching attacks on Chataburi and Trat. Mak Tu Tien even tried to convince the Qing dynasty not to recognize Taksin as the ruler of Siam, though he was unsuccessful. In 1771, Taksin evaded Ha Tien, leading to the city's destruction and brief occupation. Though Taksin later retreated in 1773, Ma Tien II never returned to Ha Tien, relocating the Chinese settlement to a city called Cantu. This marked the beginning of the city's decline. Ha Tien's decline was exacerbated by various factors within Vietnam. The Dai Son Wars erupted in 1771, destabilizing the region. Additionally, political turmoil in Siam and Cambodia led to a decline in the Gulf of Siam trade during the 1770s. By the end of the century, Ha Tien's status as a trade center had vanished entirely, though the city still existed. As the Nguyen court faced mounting pressure from the Dai Son rebels, Ma Tien II continued to provide support and refuge to surviving members of the royal family within the Mekong Delta. After the Dai Son ultimately triumphed against the Nguyen, they would go on to defeat the Trinh and briefly unify Vietnam after 1786. The last surviving Nguyen lord and the Mak family would eventually find refuge in Siam. However, in 1780, Ma Tien II and his family found themselves in peril in Siam. King Taksin, increasingly agitated by the presence of Vietnamese in Siam, and also deceived by false accusations of a conspiracy led by these Vietnamese, arrested the Mak family and other Vietnamese representatives. Ma Tien II chose to end his life while his family met a grim fate at the hands of their captors. However, a Siamese minister would take pity on the three surviving Mak children and hide them. After Taksin's death in 1782, the new Siamese king, Bat Vong, or Rama I, offered support to the last surviving prince of the Nguyen family, Nguyen Phúc Ánh. In 1784, the Nguyen family with their supporters returned to Vietnam. Nguyen Phúc Ánh would go on to retake Vietnam and reunify the country in 1802 as Emperor Gia Long. Mak Tu Tien, the surviving son of Ma Tien II, was reinstated as the hereditary governor of Ha Tien by Emperor Gia Long in 1788. However, when he passed away in 1809, the court assumed control of Ha Tien. Two grandsons of Mak Du Tiem later rebelled against Emperor Min Mang in 1833, but were arrested and died in prison, marking the end of the Mak family's legacy in the vibrant overseas Ming Loyalist culture that had developed in mainland Southeast Asia. However, it may be important to point out that the presence of the Chinese in Southeast Asia was not a recent phenomenon. The South China Sea maritime network had been dominated by Chinese commerce from the 11th to the 18th century. The establishment of Ha Tien was actually part of a broader trend in Chinese overseas migration in the early modern period. The 18th century witnessed a significant influx of Chinese migrants into Southeast Asia, driven by political and economic factors. The surge in Chinese migration was spurred by Chinese economic growth and population increase during the early Ming dynasty as well as the Qing dynasty. Simultaneously, a shortage of Japanese copper and silver led to increased mining in China's southwest, particularly in Yunnan province, prompting Chinese migration to Southeast Asian regions rich in mineral resources. Local Southeast Asian states in places like Siam, Cambodia, and several Malay states had granted autonomy to Chinese communities within their territories, recognizing leaders as governor-generals of different port cities, similar to what Vietnam did in Ha Tien. This autonomy allowed Chinese people to exercise full independence and engage in trade and commerce, contributing to the economic growth and prosperity of these regions. However, Ha Tien is most important because it ultimately paved the way for the succession of the Mekong Delta to Vietnam. Later on during the 19th century, various European powers, including the French, exerted control over parts of Southeast Asia. The French colonized Vietnam in the 19th century and included the Mekong Delta as part of their colonial holdings there. This colonial administration helped solidify Vietnam's control over the Delta region, where it remains an integral part of Vietnam today. Presently, the Mekong Delta is home to a diverse population of Vietnamese, Khmer, and Cham population. In conclusion, Ha Tien's unique history reflects the complex interplay of political, cultural, and economic forces in the 18th century Southeast Asia. From its Ming-style governance to its involvement in regional conflicts and eventual decline, the city's story is a testament to the region's dynamic and evolving landscape. Furthermore, the significant Chinese migration to Southeast Asia during this period played a crucial role in shaping the region's history and economic development, leaving a lasting legacy that persists to this day. Ha Tien even exists today on the border of Cambodia and Vietnam, boasting a modest population of approximately 80,000 residents, possibly growing, and is renowned for its picturesque beaches and thriving tourist industry. If you made it this far, I thank you for visiting today, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I apologize for the inconsistent uploads lately, but I am back to teaching and have been pretty busy. I'll try to publish at least 2 videos a month from now on, so I thank you for your patience. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Once again, thanks, and until next time. Also, if you want to learn more, be sure to check out the sources in the video description. I've also provided a link to some new research currently ongoing regarding Chinese immigration to the Mekong Delta, which is a fascinating watch.